I'm just gonna say it, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the greatest games to have ever graced the gaming world. Period. And I think most of you watching would agree. It has been one of the best received games of the generation, not only garnering the love of millions of players around the world, but winning Larian Studios so many awards across the world that they had to start rotating developers to various ceremonies in order to keep up in receiving said awards. On Metacritic, it's on the first page of the greatest games of all time, boasting a total score of 96 out of 100 across all platforms and aggregating almost 600,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam. Now that is impressive. The title has also become one of the best-selling single-player with co-op games of all time, and by definition, one of the best-selling RPGs ever, having reportedly sold over 15 million copies back in March 2024. A mere 7 months after launch.
Whoa!
Suffice it to say, Larian Studios is really the greatest example of suffering from success. And now, 1 year and 3 months later, Baldur's Gate 3 is somehow even more successful this year than last year. This comes from Michael Dowse, aka Cromwell P., who's Larian's head of publishing, as he recently tweeted the following: 1. Our average daily peak concurrents are up 3% this year over last year, mods are good. 2. Our average daily active users are up 20% over last year, mods are very good. 3. Average daily Steam Deck users are up 61% over last year. Michael also revealed that at least one copy of Baldur's Gate 3 has been sold in the Vatican, saying, "I'm also happy to announce we have achieved one more sale in the Holy See, the Vatican itself. Thank you, Mr. Pope, and enjoy the game." Now, there's no guarantee that the Pope himself is enjoying the masterpiece that is Baldur's Gate 3, but it's still really surprising considering how very unholy a standard BG3 run can look like. In any case, if we head on over to SteamDB, we can see that the concurrent player numbers have clocked over 70,000 players a day, with Sundays topping out with over 100,000 concurrent players, which is really quite insane for a single-player game, with co-op mind you, that has been out for more than a year now. Now, this may seem odd to some people. How is it possible that BG3 still retains these massive numbers almost daily? Well, aside from the fact that it's been hailed as one of the greatest games of this generation, Michael Dowse said it best. Mods have been very good. In case you've been out of the loop, Larian introduced an absolute chonker of a patch earlier this year with patch 7, which provided official mod support to Baldur's Gate 3, and introducing an actual mod manager in-game, letting you peruse at your own leisure and install mods with the click of a button. In addition to this, there has been an absurd amount of mods added to the mod manager since patch 7 came out. And there are over 2,600 mods for you to pick from that's now officially supported. Happy scrolling, I guess. The best thing about the mod support is that it was also released on cross-platform on October 1st, letting both Xbox and PlayStation to join in on the modding madness with us PC gamers. But that wasn't the only thing that patch 7 brought to the tables, as Larian had been working on introducing a slew of whole new endings to the game, 13 cinematic ones to be exact, which meant that tons of players had yet another reason to start up another playthrough. With all this said, you would think that Larian has done all they can for the longevity of the game, but hold your horses because we're not done yet. Larian has confirmed that they're working on additional features for Baldur's Gate 3, features that probably aren't too far off into the future. First of all, they're working hard on getting crossplay working so you can play with your friends on console and vice versa. The latest update on this is from Larian's Twitter account saying that they're cooking, so don't worry, it's coming. Another feature they're working on that still hasn't made it into the game for some reason is photo mode. Now, I'll be real, I thought this feature would be one of the simpler ones to implement into the game, but evidently it's not that easy. I'm personally hoping that the photo mode will be something special, with things such as various poses and facial expressions, like the photo mode that Cyberpunk 2077 uses. But who knows, maybe it'll be just one of those simpler photo modes that just lets you control things such as focal length and such. In any case, you modders out there can just work around it and add some cool poses and emotes and such. And to all of you modders out there, just know we appreciate you. Now, with all this said, will these two previously mentioned features be the last additions to Baldur's Gate 3? Well, we don't know yet, but I doubt it. Because of the success that Baldur's Gate 3 had when it launched, Larian could have easily just stopped right there, rested for a bit, and then start working on their next games. Which eventually they did this year, as Sven Vink announced earlier this year that Larian is working not only on one new game, but two at the same time. And no, we don't know what these games will be about, but they're definitely not making Baldur's Gate 4, as Larian has cut ties with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Why? Well, I'm not going to get into that whole rabbit hole. There are a lot of people that seem to suspect that there are a lot of varying factors to why Sven and Larian has cut ties with them. In any case, it is what it is, so you won't be seeing any expansions to Baldur's Gate 3, and there won't be a Baldur's Gate 4 from Larian. There probably will be a Baldur's Gate 4 at some point from Wizards of the Coast, but Larian will have nothing to do with it. However, before starting work on their new games, the devs over at Larian worked hard on each patch in order to make sure that Baldur's Gate 3 was as polished as it can possibly be. And I doubt Larian would just suddenly abandon the game that put Larian on the radar of millions of players out there. Baldur's Gate 3 is their magnum opus. Well, until their next games comes along, which may be even greater than Baldur's Gate 3 was, as Sven Vink still hasn't made his dream game yet, and is still chasing perfection even after BG3, which is something that he mentioned in an interview with GameSpot this year.
At what point did you start thinking about what's next for the studio?
Before we started.
Okay.
This was part of a larger plan that I have towards what I call the very big RPG that will dwarf them all.
Oh, so Baldur's Gate isn't that RPG?
No.
Wow.
No, not at all.
Now that said, I don't think there's going to be any massive new features to Baldur's Gate 3 after photo mode and crossplay, but there will in all likelihood still be a small team over at Larian that still communicate with the players and work on new hotfixes and updates. Besides, since BG3 now has official modding support, there will always be someone helming the ship, so to speak, in order to add new officially supported mods to the game and such. Speaking of which, there was a new hotfix released for all of you PlayStation and Xbox players out there, and Larian has now added a limit of 100 mods that can be installed at once for console. The reason for this, they state, is because of file limits, saying in their official update, unlike PC, consoles can only juggle so many files at once. The more mods you have installed, the quicker this file limit is reached. While we recommend only installing the mods you know you'll definitely continue playing with to maximize stability, we're introducing a 100 mod limit for console platforms. This, in essence, means that if you're using cross-save to play on both console and PC, you'll have to disable any mods over 100 in order to access your console save. And if you already have over 100 mods installed on console, some of these will be automatically disabled to reach the limit. Now this is unfortunate, but it's understandable as consoles are fairly limited in terms of file sizes and such, so this update really doesn't surprise me. Still though, I'm an avid mod user myself, but I don't think I've ever crossed over 50 to 60 mods installed at the same time, mainly because I know how unstable the game can get with too many mods at once. Speaking of mods, I know some of you guys want to see more BG3 mod lists from me, as those videos have been pretty popular in the past. So do let me know in the comments below if you do want to see a return to that type of content, especially now since there is official mod support. All this said, I love BG3 with all my heart, and it's definitely the best game I've played in the past decade, hands down. That said, I'm very excited about the prospect of Larian's new games, and as much as I'd love to see more official content added to Baldur's Gate 3, I think it's a good thing that most of the studio has moved on by now. Am I a little sad that we didn't get an expansion to Baldur's Gate 3? Sure. But official modding support is the next best thing, and it's evidently been working really well, not only for Larian, but for us BG3 fans as well. So here's to the future of Baldur's Gate 3. Skål! That's how you say it, not skål, skål. Anyway, that's gonna have to do it for today. Thank you to all of my wonderful and Sven Squad channel members for supporting me, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe for all of your Baldur's Gate 3 news updates, as I will be covering those as well. This has been Mr. Holton, signing out.